all you beekeepers and beekeeper wannabes. This is Elizabeth Newell from the Beekeepers Guild of San Mateo County. I'm here to tell you about some beekeeping resources that you should definitely check out. Here are the topics I'm going to cover here so that you can be just like the bee in this picture and start learning even more about these amazing creatures. So, you have all taken the important first step of taking these classes. Thank you, and I know that it's going to be useful to you. But please, don't let this be the entirety of your bee education. Bees are extremely complex creatures, and unlike any pet or livestock that you may have had previously. I like to say they're really more like space aliens. Also, you will find that there is a lot of specialized terminology to learn. If you don't know what a super is, or the difference between drone comb and drawn comb, you will struggle to understand any advice given to you by other beekeepers. So it's very important to have a good background in bees and beekeeping. As you keep your bees, you will frequently be drawing on your knowledge and outside advice to kind of read your hive, understand what's going on, and to make judgment calls about it. Unfortunately, your bees won't just hang up a sign saying what they need and when. You'll need to understand them and understand beekeeping practices to be successful. The bad news is there's a lot to learn, but the good news is there's a lot to learn. Many beekeepers find learning new things about bees and beekeeping to be one of the most rewarding parts of the hobby. That aspect is actually what drew me into loving bees so much. I know many of you have probably got into beekeeping because you want to help bees. That's great. Bear in mind, though, that all the reasons that bees are in trouble means it isn't as easy as when previous generations kept bees. I highly recommend that every new beekeeper invest in a good, basic book. What makes a book good? Well, first of all, it should be current. While I personally love antique books like this beautiful one on the right, it wouldn't be a good book for beginners because the information is out of date. So make sure you're always getting the most current edition. Also, you want a book that covers as much as possible all the basics of beekeeping, including giving you some background into bee biology and behavior. Good diagrams or pictures are so helpful, and of course, you really want something that's practical and clear to you. The books that I'm going to recommend mostly apply directly to Langstroth hives, but I still recommend them even if you're planning to start with an unusual hive such as a Vorey or Kenyan top bar. If you do decide to go with an unusual hive type, I'd also pick up an additional book on that particular type of hive, even though a lot of the background info in the basic book will apply to any hive at all. Bear in mind that most beekeeping books, even really excellent ones, assume that you are keeping bees in somewhere with seasons more like Maine than California. So you really must supplement your book with local information. Things aren't necessarily just easier because we live in California with a mild winter. We just have different challenges here. So, enough with the negative. Let's get to my top 2 recommendations. The Beekeepers Handbook. This is my absolute favorite book for beginners. It is very detailed and complete, but easy to read. The first day I had it, I kept reading out amazing bee facts from it to my housemate, and we both loved it. It doesn't have any photographs, but it does have some nice clear diagrams. This is the very first book that I got on beekeeping, and I still reference it from time to time. So it's a nice book that keeps its value for you. The only downside for some people is that it is pretty heavy on the science and represents a fairly serious bit of reading. So if you really don't like reading, this may not be the book for you. But otherwise, I highly recommend it. Beekeeping for Dummies. I'm sure you're not a dummy, but if you want something a little lighter on the reading department, this is a good book for you. This book has the typical humor of the For Dummies series, and it's more condensed and simplified than my earlier recommendation. It has good pictures and diagrams, and it makes things very easy with a very kind of step-by-step approach, frequently asked questions, and it's got a lot of handy tips in it. The biggest drawback is that after the first year, you will probably be ready for and need a more in-depth book. But this will do fine to get you off to a good start. So if you're not as keen on a lot of reading, get this book. I recommend that you get and read your basic book before you delve too far into the internet. Otherwise, you will likely be confused and frustrated by all the jargon, and you won't have a background to understand the topics. Plus, you will of course see a lot of arguing online, as with any topic, so it's very easy to get confused or discouraged by all the contradictory information you find. Once you have your background knowledge in bees, you'll be better able to judge what sites are right for you. There is a lot of great information out there, but watch out. As with anything on the internet, anybody can make a page or a post or a video, but that doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. And of course, remember that you may be looking at someone who is a professional commercial beekeeper or in another state or even another country than you. Their needs, goals, and resources may be very different than yours. Here are a few websites to get you started. honeybeesweet.com is one of the best, I think, for new beekeepers, as they have a lot of useful blog-type articles on a lot of topics. Michael Bush's website is also good, especially if you want to try going a more natural beekeeping route. He has very generously put all of his material from his books and presentations online at bushbees.com. BeeSource and BeeMaster are both mostly online forum sites, which can be really fun and interesting, but of course it has all the downsides of other internet forums. Scientific Beekeeping is run by a professional beekeeper who isn't actually a scientist, but he does write a lot about science and beekeeping. A lot of his stuff is pretty advanced though, so I'd keep that for later once you've grasped the basics and want to really dig deeper. And, of course, never underestimate typing a question or phrase you don't understand into a search engine. Isn't that how we learn everything these days? Again, there's a ton of videos out there of all kinds just waiting for you to discover them. And the Guild happens to have 3 beekeepers who post videos fairly regularly, so check out our channels in particular. It's local information that you can apply to your Bay Area bees. Finally, we have the Guild. I really hope you have all already joined the Guild, but if you haven't, here are a few more good reasons to join today. First, we have a ton of information for you, and more every year, and we are one of the best sources you can get for all that important local information. We have monthly meetings with professional speakers and panels, as well as a monthly question and answer time with a great teacher. We also have a monthly newsletter with articles by our members, and you can ask a beekeeping question at any time in our Google discussion group. Membership in the Guild also entitles you to participate in our live bee sales of nucleus colonies and packages. These are purchased in bulk to get you a good price, and you pick them up from a central location so you don't have to pay expensive mailing rates. As of the time I wrote this, we still have a few packages and nooks for sale, but hurry because they sell out most years quickly after the beginner's class. Guild members can borrow one of our 4 extractors for free, so you can have it when you need it, and you don't need to buy and store a huge piece of equipment and its accessories for the 363 days a year that you aren't using it. This year, we're launching a Bee Buddy program to match interested beekeepers with others in their area, so you can team up with a friendly neighbor and learn more about bees together. Please sign up promptly for that once you join the Guild. And finally, the cookies. While currently in March of 2021, we are still meeting online due to COVID-19, we normally have a cookie buffet that is worth the membership cost all on its own. We also have very popular, purely social gatherings twice a year, when we're not in pandemics, that is. The Guild is a great resource, and I look forward to seeing you all there. So here are the next steps that I recommend for all beginners. Get one of those 2 books and read them cover to cover. Make sure you get some local information too. The easiest and cheapest way to do that is to join the Guild, and especially to join in our meetings and online forum. Consider getting a mentor, a private tutor, or at least a bee buddy. 2 heads are always better than 1. And, of course, learn all that you can and have fun with it. Thank you, and praise bees.